as you are in Sweden, how are the summer in Sweden for you?
It's been great to be back. I haven't been able to be here for a full-on summer for about a year or so because of COVID with everything. So
Yeah.
I've kind of been coming when restrictions have cleared up, which has been mostly during winter time the past 2 years ago. So I was here for Christmas last year and some of the summer, but I'm really happy to be back and everything's open and back to normal. So that's awesome.
Especially especially when everything is colorful during the winter, it's
Yes.
basically more gray and
Yes,
stormy.
exactly. And I love the snow, don't get me wrong, because we don't get any of that where I am.
True.
But I love it here in the summer. It's perfect weather, not too hot or anything. So
Nice. Do you live in Los Angeles? What would you say is the biggest difference between United States and Sweden that always strikes you?
probably, I mean, when I go into town, I just went out the other night to get dinner and so well, the first thing, first of all, is definitely the food. The food here is just it's not the same as America whatsoever. Way better, way healthier, and
Mm.
just fresh in terms. But otherwise, what I was saying, when I go to town, I got distracted by the food. But when I go to town, it's really light out all the time when I go out. So it's like a never ending summer day, which I love because in LA with the time change, we don't get as much sun or it doesn't stay light for as long. So it's really nice to have longer days here. It makes the summer a lot more worthwhile, in my opinion.
And one of the differences that I noticed when I went to Los Angeles was I can walk in Sweden, but I have to drive in Los Angeles. So
Yes, that is the big thing. You can't really get to a lot of places without a car, which
uh,
is not very convenient. So that's another great thing about Sweden for sure.
nice. It's interesting that that you mentioned food. That you said it was very healthy and so on. I thought California was very good at healthy food and so on, but
If you're like, there's a lot of the vegan and vegetarian and pescatarian, that sort of stuff going on in LA. I think LA is kind of known for that now. In the city, we have all the different type of diets. So if you're on one of those, you definitely eat pretty healthy. But the American like standard food, like the burgers and the
mm,
fries and all that sort of stuff, that's like what first comes to mind for me. But we definitely have some great food out there. So it's like a pick and choose type of thing.
true. True. Will you do something special here when you're here during the summer? Are you looking forward to
Um,
something?
I love Midsummer. I wasn't here for Midsummer this year, but that's always a celebration that I love in Sweden. There's nothing really like that of a American holiday. We just had 4th of July there, which is always fun, but Midsummer is one of my favorite things to celebrate. And sadly, I wasn't here this year for it. It was probably wonderful weather.
It
But
was.
that,
It was.
yes, I always love making the flower crowns and doing singing the songs and dancing around the big statue of flowers. So I'm glad I missed that, but that's one of my favorite things I always look forward to.
Nice. Well, let's talk about your new single Rush. You started working on that in 2019 and finished it earlier this year. How was the process working with the song?
I first started writing that, like you said, in 2019. It was a completely different song than it is now, which is really cool to see how it's progressed. But it was one of the earlier songs I had written with Mads and the other one that he works with, who's from
Jason?
King of the Corner, Jason DeZucio. We all wrote it together, and then I reconnected with Mads earlier this year, and we were like, let's just pick it up again and try and finish it. And as we were writing it, we're like, okay, now it's turning into a completely different song. So we just sort of went with the flow of that. Some of the lyrics, like there's a few lines that I think have remained the same, and some of the chords and different guitar melodies that we have in there. But if you were to listen to the two songs back to back, you probably wouldn't hear that one is derived from the other. So it's come a long way. It was super fun to reconnect with Mads and finally finish it because I've always loved it. It just wasn't really lyrics that I related to anymore because of how long ago it was. So
Uh,
we got to rework it and now I really love it. So I'm excited for it to come out.
what would you say the song is about?
Now it's about basically whether you have gotten out of a relationship, whatever type of relationship or situationship it was, and you really held close to that one and treasured it, and then you start to get over it and you're moving on, you're seeing new people, and you think you've finally forgotten about that last person. And then once you start to get involved with the other person, you start to realize that it's not the same. And
Classic.
rush that you get from the new people and talking to new people just doesn't last very long. It's enough to distract you from the last person, but it doesn't last as long, if that makes sense.
It does indeed. Is that something that you experience by yourself, or do you just try to imagine the feeling?
It was like kind of a combination of me and Mads when we were talking in the session, and I was talking to him about my past experiences and then also his past as well. And we kind of just combined the both as we were writing, because we both contributed to the lyrics. So it's a little bit of both of us, but I'd say mostly it is kind of my story and my experiences.
What would you say is a challenge for you as an independent artist to reach out and find your audience?
Yeah, for sure. I love being an indie artist because I'm able to make a lot of my own choices artistically and what I want to write about, how I want my music to sound, how I come across as an artist. But it definitely comes along with its struggles too, like you're saying, promotional wise, and getting yourself out there without a management or any sort of label to back you up. It is all completely on your own. A lot of my videos that I've released, I've edited myself and directed myself. And so you have to just, like I'm saying, have that time to do that sort of stuff, which is hard when you're young, and especially when you're going to school too. So that is definitely a struggle, not having any backup to fund those sort of things too. It's all coming out of my own pocket. And as a student, that's not very easy. I will say that. So you just have to keep with it though. And right now, nowadays, with all the social media and how that's so prevalent in the music industry, comes with its ups and downs, in my opinion. But you are able to reach an audience without having loads of funding, but it's definitely much, much harder than if you have backup behind you.
True.
So it's just the consistency that you got to keep with it, and hoping that you'll reach the right people and reach the people who actually want to hear your music for who you are.
True. And I must say, I mean, both Rush and the songs that you released in the past year, I mean, they are extremely well produced and very well written. So I think you have something going on for you there. So I hope people will discover you more.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that.